Hi. Do you remember that story I told you about the kid or the kids that were all upset about not getting the best parts of the chicken, and the new pastor brought them the best parts of the chicken after a while, and they really started to like the pastor a lot? Well, one of those boys is a neighbor of ours 3 houses down. And his house also backs up to the bayou like ours does. But his name is Hiram Whipsnade. Hiram Whipsnade. And one day Hiram was going through the woods and down the road, and you know what he was doing? He found an old rusty birdcage in the dump. It was rusty and beat up and metal, but the cage door still worked. And he was bringing that bird cage through the woods, and he was going through the woods stealthily, is that a word? And he was getting all kinds of baby birds out of different nests and putting them in that old bird cage. The babies, the fledglings. And he was picking up different species of birds. And he had so many birds in the bottom of that cage. And it was a hot day. And he didn't give them any water. And he wasn't feeding them at all. And they were just kind of like on top of each other. And then that same day, the pastor was coming down the road, and he said, "Hiram, what have you got there? What are you doing?" And he says, "I'm just having fun with these birds." He said, "I'm taking the birds and putting them in this cage just to watch them fly around and play." And he said, "But I'm only taking one out of each nest so the mama won't miss them. She's got other birds. But I'm trying to get one of each of every kind that I can find and watch how they play together." And the pastor said, "Hiram, you know they're not going to play together. Look at they're standing on top of each other. The cage is so full on the bottom." And he said, "You don't have any food for them. You don't have any water for them in that cage. They're miserable. And look, they're becking on each other and they're getting mad at each other." And Hiram said, "Oh, that's fun to watch. I like to watch action. I just wanted to see how many I could get." And the pastor said, "Hiram, how much money do you want? Can I buy those birds from you?" And Hiram thought, being an enterprising young man, he thought, "I want $50 and you can have these birds." So you know what that young pastor did? He reached down deep in his pocket and he took out $50 and he gave it to Hiram and said, "Okay, Hiram, here's your money. Bye-bye." Hiram said, "Gee whiz, that's a lot of money. Thanks." And he ran off. And you know what the pastor did? He took that cage, took it down in the shade into the woods, and he opened up the door and he let all those birds go, all the little fledglings. And oh, were those birds happy. They started picking on the weeds and the grass blades and everything. And they were near the bayou, so there's little pools of water around. They could get a drink and stuff. Those birds were so happy. But it cost the pastor $50 to let those birds go free. Well, the next Sunday in church, Hiram was at church with his mom and his dad and the other boys, sitting there, and the service started, and Hiram noticed, he looked up on the stage, on the platform of the church, and there was that old dirty bird cage up there, rusty bird cage, sitting right on the side of the pulpit up there. And he thought, what on earth is this all about? Well, the pastor came up and gave his sermon. And he was talking about how Jesus made a bargain with the devil. the devil has gone around and collected all of us, all different kinds of people, and he has stolen us, and he's put us in a cage, so we fight and we scrap with each other, and we're walking over the tops of each other, and we're hungry and we're thirsty for something, and we're just not having a good time. And Jesus saw what the devil had done to us by putting us in this cage. And Jesus came up to the devil and he said, "Devil, how much do you want for those birds?" The devil said, "Oh, maybe I'll sell them to you, maybe I won't." Jesus said, "How much? How much do you want?" Well, the devil said, "I just like watching them. I like watching them kind of fluttering around and getting anxious and fighting and stuff. It brings joy to my heart to watch these birds being so active and sitting on top of each other and bumping the other ones off." And Jesus said, "How much do you want for those birds?" And the devil thought, and he said, "Everything. I want everything you have, and I want your life for it." And Jesus said, "Sold." And with that, Jesus went to the cross. He died to kill all of our sins, all of our grievances, all of our sicknesses and diseases, all of our hatred. He went to the cross. He paid everything. And with that, he opened up the door of the cage that Satan had, and he let us go. And when Hiram Whipsnade heard this message in church, he quick ran out the back door of the church. And they finished up the service inside without Hiram. But after the service was done, Pastor went outside and looked for Hiram, and he saw him out sitting under a tree. And Hiram was sitting there with tears in his eyes. And he said, "I liked your message, Pastor. It was a good one." And he said, "I can see what I'm like, and I don't want to be that way. I want Jesus in my heart." And the pastor said, "Sure, Hiram." And so Hiram, under that tree with the pastor, accepted Jesus into his heart. And he was a changed boy after that. And he started helping people instead of making them angry and doing bad things. So you see, this is what Jesus, for God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whosoever believes in him shall not perish in this birdcage. He opened the door and shall have everlasting life. That's what Jesus did for us, and Hiram was a changed boy after that. Okay, see you later. See you tomorrow. Bye-bye. Love ya.